Rinpoche, I was wondering if you could speak on why, if everything is possessed of purity and equality, we visualize ourselves as the Samayasattva visualization while still invoking the wisdom being itself.
Sama chie tamche danyan denpa yerme yena dapa rabjam yena tene damsik sempa dang ye shi sempa la yewa khandes shagena kari chene shagena
di indi kama chio tamche yene nabra dapa tarre de ngazo di ngondo giru chibe tapten ko yores di indi kama di tam dende kama tanda ndo sengi tekpa ni kanse anu yoga ni sheba na shin chige daatang nye tila chige sangangi ewa dogo chige shi ko ne de tasang di ko ne nga shi le shi ko mare tang ngoni de thombu ko na shin na tang ngaram ko na shi rikpa ta rikpi chal se yores ya rikpa ta rikpi chal se de tang ne riksel gi ngola ne khorta pena shiwa khorang doji semba khorang family chigla shito yore shito yore kashi gatekeeper trachina wall go mashi sing yore kashi ge tene thala de king semba sema yore ka ule ne king sang yore dukta du kang la ji khepat ro ji yore de ne don chik pe chik sang king por chik tikli nya ji gra shi te du kang la rolwi ko ne chal dang rolwi ge tene charbo go ne she ge yore tanda ya tene ngaram so lam lo ji be kang sa la tene ishi semba du na sa la rang te tamjik samba sal ne tajik samba ro sal ne tene ta ngaram so dichige yore 그 담제 때 생이 택과 강사인데 안우인데 제유반나 시간에 진다다 시야나 키브르 첨부 요바 때 반저 당념때 여러 체크 말에 때도 강한디 때는 릭바다 릭비 짤게 손도다니 야 뜻다니 되네 공도데 강라 단디 람 드비카서 때나지 마시랑 체레 되더래 어경원이 상부시게나 저 탐지데 때 랑신데 때나 저거 좀 틀린 약직지 그래 이제 셰퍼지가 말데 이는 안 돼. 마속데 강라 때til라시 세치시 람시 데우세시 네 다고 뭐 줘서 셰퍼 투기요 먼저 마पर केपे क्वेश्चन या परे 먼저 마पर 때 택전 소주 나라 리포 코로나 틀린 약직가 제레데 하나 틀린 약직 코로나 샤샤인데 도알라데 때다 딕데디고 때다 다른 거랑 남도 뭐 끼고 실드 냠상 찍으셔 남도 탐진 남가 야다와나시 다서 근데 냠지 돼서 까마도 야고 때 데이터 보면 양가로 세코미 빠져 먹고 지기 야 남도 셔 남도 셔 되고 나한테 시다 남도 되고 여러 샤거리 손에 띠띠 찍버리 근데 람 고민에 가서 네 라마랑 자위 라마 곰 자위 라마 도지 섬에처럼 곰 때리지 배우장 있네야 대조 탐지 되게 때문에 개발이 되는 마삼이네 오늘 이제 릭바다 릭비게 쌀기 있었네
This is a very good question, another very good question. It is indeed true that all phenomena are boundless purity, all phenomena without exception are inseparable purity and equality. That's the case, that's the reality, but nevertheless, as the skillful means or the method for us to realize and to manifest that reality, we have practices such as we have practices that involve distinctions, such as visualizing ourselves as the Samaya being, the Guru in the form of the deity, as a wisdom being in front of us, separate from us. So these practices do involve distinctions. These distinctions are made use of in a skillful way to bring us to a realization of boundless purity, inseparable purity and equality, the natural state in which there are no distinctions, the natural state beyond distinctions. And we do find these distinctions between oneself and the wisdom being and so on. From the first vehicle, the causal vehicles of characteristics, all the way up to the eighth vehicle of Anu Yoga. Essentially, we can understand that all of these, the basic state of things is awareness, Rigpa, and all of these different appearances are none other than the dynamic display of Rigpa. In that sense, no matter how things might appear, there is no qualitative distinction to be made. For instance, when we visualize Vajrasattva, we also visualize Vajrasattva's retinue, right? So you have the central figure Vajrasattva, but in his mandala you also have the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. In the palace, in the four directions, at the four gates, you have four gatekeepers. You have some bodhisattvas on the periphery, and so on. So when you look at a mandala like this, it seems like there are there's a main figure, like a higher figure, the Buddha Vajrasattva, who's in the center, and it seems like some of the members of his retinue, like the gatekeepers, are kind of lower stature. Might appear that way, but from the perspective of basic awareness, of reality, all of these figures are equally the display, the dynamic display of basic awareness. There's no essential distinction between them at all. As practitioners training on the path, training to realize the reality of boundless purity, then we need to make use of these skillful distinctions. That's why we have this presentation of Samaya beings, wisdom beings, self-visualization, front visualization. At this level of practice, the distinction is nothing like as gross as at the level of the outer tantras of Kriya, Upa and Yoga, where there is still very much the mindset of the practitioner kind of still clings to like an essential distinction between themselves, the Samaya being, and the wisdom being outside of them. They regard, they experience a more significant distinction. At this level of practice, it's merely a skillful means, and one does understand that essentially both oneself and the wisdom being are equal in being the display of basic awareness. Nevertheless, and that essentially everything is the single bindu, or the single nature of Rigpa. This is explained really well by Rongson Mahapandita in his text, Entering the Way of the Greater Vehicle. He says, it's true, everything is of a single nature, but from one point of view, you could just introduce that fact and then just leave it there, and say, there's no need to kind of say or do anything more. But nevertheless, from the practitioner's point of view, we have a lot of conceptual thoughts and habits that we've accumulated from beginningless time until now. So to purify all of those habits and remove them, then we need to practice. And that's for that reason, and in the scriptures we find this presentation of the ground, path, fruition, and all of these different details, view, meditation, conduct, so on and so forth. They're skillful means to bring us to full realization of the natural state in which there are no distinctions. So just to reiterate, these are all skillful means, while essentially one needs to understand that all of the apparent distinctions are equal in being the dynamic display of Rigpa, the single nature. That's what I'm saying.